Movie Line interview Jennifer Lopez did in 1998 when she was 27 years old was just horrible, and it should have ended her career. Now, she was fresh off the success of her film Selena, and she basically decided to trash all other celebrities that were big at the time and was trying to trivialize their career and contribution to the industry. In fact, when she was asked about Madonna, she said, "Do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. Do I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do, so I'm harder on people when they can say, oh, I can do that, I can act. I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft." Now, this is so ironic because J.Lo would go on to do both music and acting for the rest of her career. Also, at the time, Madonna had been a star for a lot longer than J.Lo, so there was really no comparison there. Now, J.Lo has been caught on camera by the paparazzi for her rude behavior many times. In one clip, she's seen getting into her car, and when one of the paps say thanks, she yells at them to go to hell. In another clip, she's seen yelling at the paps, telling them to stay away from her, and again, she is seen begging them to leave her alone, even though J.Lo is known to call the paparazzi on herself. Now, Meghan McCain just exposed Jennifer for being a horrible guest when she was on The View. Now, Meghan spoke about it on a recent podcast, saying, "I feel bad because we're turning the point where there's bullying happening to J.Lo," but added she just is a deeply unpleasant person. She had the biggest entourage I've ever seen when she was on The View. Now, more than Kim Kardashian and the president. Now, Meghan also went on to recall a time where Jennifer allegedly had an employee holding a mirror with lights while they were touching her up backstage the whole time. Now, after witnessing Jennifer's behavior backstage, coupled with her own 10-minute interview with the star, Meghan said, "I was a host at The View, she was not nice. You don't always have to be nice, but it was surprising that people like Kim Kardashian couldn't be more delightful." And she added, "When you're going on a show for a 10-minute segment, just fake it till you make it for 10 effing minutes." Now, obviously, J.Lo acted all perky and happy when the cameras were on, but Meghan paints a very different picture from when the cameras stopped rolling. As we all know, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck got married, but their relationship didn't last long. Now, Ben has been open about being an alcoholic and maintaining his sobriety, which he has been doing successfully for years now. Shortly after Jennifer did a Today interview, the former couple were filmed having what looked like a tense argument. In the clip that quickly went viral on TikTok, J.Lo appears to taste Ben's drink and then look at him sternly. She seems visibly upset with her husband as he tries to defend himself and repeatedly says Jen. Now, he could also be seen yelling over the music that he did not drink anything. Now, it was theorized at the time that Ben was insisting that he hadn't been drinking alcohol and that she was tasting his drink to check it in the video. Now, that video has been viewed around 2 million times so far, but surprisingly, most people seem to think that Jennifer is being unsupportive of Ben's struggles. It just looks like she doesn't trust him, which is concerning. Recently, a clip has resurfaced of J.Lo and it has gone viral. The clip in question, well, she spits her gum into her assistant's hand. Yeah, and that's not only rude, but it's honestly just gross. It seems like in between takes while filming a movie, she wanted to have fresher breath, so she started chewing some gum. But when the cameras are ready to roll again, she can't have it, so instead of asking for a tissue or disposing of the gum herself, she has her assistant come over and cup her hands while J.Lo leans over and spits out her gum. A 2024 clip from the Met Gala went viral for Jennifer, but it was for all the wrong reasons. In a clip shared on TikTok, USA Today reporter Anika Reed was on the famous Met stairs when she innocently asked J.Lo, who was one of the co-chairs that year, "Who are you wearing tonight?" as she walks past. Now, J.Lo barely looked at her and gave a monotone answer of Chaparli while she continued to go up the stairs, ignoring every other reporter waiting to talk to her. Now, people in the comments were quick to call out Jennifer for her rude behavior. One user said, "Ew, why does she have that attitude?" Yeah, fans weren't too happy with the singer's behavior at all. Now, before J.Lo and Ben Affleck got divorced, she wrote a whole album and made a movie based on their love story. Here's the thing though, she also made a documentary about all of this, but the doc was actually named after a scrapbook that Ben gifted Jennifer for Christmas in 2021, stacked with every letter and email they'd written to each other over the last 20 years. Now, Jennifer showed the book to her producers and songwriters on the first day of making her new album, without asking or even telling Ben. It became like our Bible, she says in the doc. We just left it in the studio, and this revelation comes within the first 5 minutes of the doc, and right out of the gate, Ben isn't shy about his discomfort. Ben shared that he was taken aback when Jen shared with songwriters the private love letters he wrote to her to serve as inspiration for her upcoming album, This Is Me Now. Later on, he says, "Things that are private, I always felt are sacred and special because, in part, they're private." And J.Lo was also spotted being rude to the paparazzi and her fans. It seems like she came out of a store and everyone was waiting for her. She started to do a paparazzi walk, but was not smiling at all and was pretty much ignoring fans. Now, in the video, she continually says, "Please leave," but continues to pose for photos. Now, after one of the paps asks her a question, she turns away angrily and heads back to her car. As they follow her, she says, "That's enough, you got your pictures," and said that it's hard to love these people as they always mob her. Now, it's not her best look, and some claim she may have been having an off day, but she was definitely giving mixed signals and didn't have to be so rude, especially to all her loving fans.
Is Jennifer Lopez okay? She's been making weird decisions lately that have her fans wondering if all is good. Jennifer Lopez has been savaged by fans over her cringe-worthy opening performance at the 2025 American Music Awards in Las Vegas after she kissed both male and female dancers live on air. The 55-year-old Bronx-bred singer-actress, who is single after her high-profile divorce from Ben Affleck, hosted the CBS Live event and kicked off the night by singing and dancing to a 6-minute medley of 23 hits by the evening's nominees. While most A-list celebrities skipped the event, J.Lo did her best to single-handedly bring the star power by performing hits including Billie Eilish's Birds of a Feather, Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso, and Beyonce's Texas Hold'em. But she left viewers cringing over the disgusting lip-locking session with her dancers, with some branding it as a desperate attempt to make Affleck jealous following their finalized dissolution of their 2-year marriage. Now, others blasted her for going too far with, her girl-on-girl kiss, with one ex-user declaring Jennifer Lopez has lost the plot. Another viewer asked, "Why is Jennifer Lopez kissing everyone at the AMAs?" While another person chimed in saying, "Just looked up from my phone and Jennifer Lopez is kissing a girl." Jennifer was called disgusting and desperate by some unimpressed viewers. That's not the only recent controversy J.Lo has been engulfed in though. Jennifer Lopez is being sued for posting photos of herself at a Hollywood party, with the photographer and a paparazzi agency saying she failed to get permission to use them. And let's pause for a second, because how crazy is it that paps can sue celebrities for photos they took while invading their privacy? Wild. Anyway, the singer and actress shared pictures on social media of herself arriving at the Amazon MGM Studios and Vanity Fair party in Los Angeles the night before this year's Golden Globes in January. Photographer Edwin Blanco and Backgrid, the agency he was working for, have each filed lawsuits saying they own the copyright to 2 photos. The pictures were used to promote Miss Lopez's public appearances, boost, user engagement, increase shareability, and lend credibility to her branded content. Backgrid and Mr. Blanco are seeking up to $150,000 in damages each per photo. The pictures showed the star in a white dress and a white faux fur coat outside the party at Chateau Marmont. Now, she posted them on Instagram and on X with the caption, "GG Weekend Glamour," and they were then of course shared by numerous fans and fashion pages. The lawsuit said Miss Lopez's unauthorized use of the images is, commercial in nature, intended for the purpose of self-promotion. Any person who is in a photo doesn't own the copyright to the picture, that usually belongs to the photographer or the company they work for, and they can decide who can use it and how much they must pay. The legal documents say Baccarat and Mr. Blanco contacted Lopez's representatives after she posted the photos and agreed a deal and a payment, but that she has not yet signed the agreement. The star has faced legal action before in 2019 and again in 2020 for sharing photos taken of her by others. I will never get over how wild this seems to me, but hey, that's showbiz, baby. Well, what will Jenny from the block do next? Any predictions? I'm thinking she might either go ghost or pull a Bieber and start crashing out. Jennifer Lopez is not okay, and many people think she's going through a midlife crisis due to her behavior. First off, we have to talk about her Pride performance. Shocked fans when she hit the stage in dangerously high-cut bodysuits during her World Pride performance in Washington, D.C. Now, she shouldn't have been wearing something like that. It was way too risky, and she could have had a seriously bad wardrobe malfunction. What she was thinking when wearing this, we have no idea, but people online have called it inappropriate and say that she's too old to be dressing that way. Honestly though, I don't think anyone should be wearing an outfit like that. Fans made comments about the outfits online, and one person said, "I admire what great shape she's in, but time to stop trying to be a young pop star." One user wrote of a TikTok video featuring her performance. Now another question, why do artists feel like they need to dress like this? The dress code needs to stop. And a third added, "I'm embarrassed for her. My toes are fully clenched. Yikes." J.Lo seemed to not care though. Per Out magazine, Lopez stopped to thank her queer fans amid her performance. "Over the years, your love and your support have been a source of strength for me, and today I am here to celebrate you," she said to the crowd. "I'm so happy to be able to be here and celebrate community, diversity, love, and freedom." Then after her performance, she posted photos on Instagram where she captioned them, "Major shout out to @theblondesNY for slaying my sparkly World Pride stage looks, and to @FashionBy Rayoritz for that fierce black catsuit moment." If she saw any of the backlash, she definitely didn't care. J.Lo first hosted the award show in 2005, so this wasn't completely new to her. Unfortunately for her though, the 2025 AMAs was branded as the worst AMAs in the awards ceremony, the 51-year-old's history by many viewers. Now, why may you ask? Well, there were hardly any A-list celebrities there. A lot of the key performances were actually pre-recorded and not live, and there was a ton of drama about who won what awards. Now, overall, the night was just messy, and having J.Lo's name attached to it definitely was not a good thing. Not to mention, J.Lo embarrassed herself in her performance when she opened the show with a medley of the most popular songs of the year. Many people felt the performances, fell flat, while others thought it was a desperate attempt to get attention. For example, during the performance, J.Lo kissed a male dancer. Okay, whatever, but then she went and kissed a female dancer. Many people thought this was an attempt to draw more attention to J.Lo, bring shock value to her set, but a lot of people online ended up just making fun of the star and straight up just didn't care about what happened. It just wasn't a good look and made J.Lo look even more pathetic. Then after the show, J.Lo made everything about her as she announced her new Las Vegas residency. Yep, it seems like her hosting the show was just a setup for her to promote herself, since she had to cancel her last tour, a tour which, by the way, had very poor ticket sales. It seems like J.Lo is doing all she can these days to get the attention on her, but the truth is, it's actually making people just feel bad for her and wondering if she's truly okay.
Jennifer Lopez is literally the meanest celebrity ever. Just because she has fame and money, she thinks she can treat people however she wants, but in reality, she's just rude and mean. Now, one of her backup singers took to TikTok to expose the star, saying, "If you were pretty or you were a Latina, like game over, she hated you. She just acted like a bully." Can you imagine spending time with someone working in a closed setting every day for months, and this person never even acknowledging you or acting like you exist? She was that rude to people working for her. Not to mention, several of J.Lo's former staff members have come out to say that Jennifer earned herself the nickname Pay-Lo because she paid her staff around 50% less than they could make elsewhere. Then there was also the incident in 2003 when Jennifer was spotted in Vegas with her then boyfriend Ben Affleck. The pair had a big win and Ben decided to drop a $2,000 tip to the dealer, but before he could scoop up the generous reward, J.Lo snatched up the cash and swapped it for $200 in instead. Then there was also the time when she got a maid fired from her job. Jennifer was staying at the Mila Dusseldorf in Germany, and a maid working at the hotel Pre Doja approached the diva's room to get an autograph. Now, she spoke with J.Lo's assistant, who denied her to see the star. The next morning though, Pre was fired. She said, "A day later, the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said Miss Lopez had complained. I was fired there right on the phone because of an autograph." Now that is just messed up. Was it maybe inappropriate for her to ask for an autograph then? Yeah, but she shouldn't have been fired for it. But J.Lo made sure that's exactly what happened. Now, J.Lo's also been accused of stealing music and certain songs. One big hit from one of her albums was If You Had My Love, but the song received backlash from R&B singer Shantae Moore, as Moore had a near-identical song called If I Gave Love, recorded a year prior in 1998. Now, one of J.Lo's worst offenses is the fact that she takes other people's vocals and passes them off as her own, without even giving them credit. Songs like Play and the I'm Real remix feature prominent reference track vocals from Christina Milian and Ashanti. For Jennifer and Ja Rule's music video for the I'm Real remix, J.Lo reused Ashanti's reference track vocals on the song and passed them off as her own. Now, instead of J.Lo re-recording the song, she left the demo vocals on the song, and she failed to credit Milian or Ashanti. Now, the worst offender is J.Lo's signature song, Jenny from the Block, as Natasha Ramos sings the track's chorus, bridge, and ad-libs. Now, J.Lo has also been accused of lip-syncing. Now, my question is, does she even know how to sing? She's gone on and ripped off other celebrities for their talent, but it seems like she doesn't really have any.
Jennifer Lopez was once homeless. It's very hard to believe now, but before Jennifer Lopez was the proud owner of multiple homes across the country, including her $40 million estate in Miami and a $24 million penthouse in New York City, she was actually homeless. Lopez found herself out of her family home following a disagreement with her mother, Guadalupe Rodriguez, about her pursuing a dance career instead of furthering her education. Showing how serious she was about becoming a dancer despite her mom's opposition, J.Lo started spending her nights at the dance studio she practiced at. Now, she recalled in a 2013 interview saying, "My mom and I butted heads. I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to try dancing full-time. So she and I had a break. I started sleeping on the sofa in the dance studio. I was homeless, but I told her this is what I have to do." Fortunately, it wasn't actually long until her dance career actually took off, and that became the jumping off point for the incredible career she's carved out for herself. Lopez got a dancing gig in Europe a few months after the fallout with her mom, and then landed her dream job as a fly girl on the TV sketch comedy show In Living Color in 1991, which caused her to make the big move to Los Angeles. The rest, as we know now, is history. The star believes because of this life experience, she will instill a strong work ethic in her twins Max and Em through leading by example. She once explained, "I think a lot about teaching my kids to work hard. I've learned something about kids. They don't do what you say, they do what you do. I watched my parents, my dad worked nights, and I was aware of how much he was doing for us. My mom was a Tupperware lady and also worked at the school. I always felt that I couldn't let them down, and I had a natural discipline from early on. I was always training for something." Money for Jennifer wasn't always easy to come by. Though she's become one of the richest stars in the world, she's worth like a huge $400 million according to Celebrity Net Worth, there was actually a time when Jennifer Lopez was so poor she could only afford to eat one slice of pizza a day. Speaking to Entertainment Tonight, she actually recalled her bare minimum diet before landing her role on In Living Color, admitting she survived on pizza for a couple of years. She actually shared a little more about that difficult period in a 2014 interview with the Sydney Morning Herald after she was asked what she would do if she only had $100 in the bank. She said, "I've been there, when I only had $100 or $20 and had to eat a pizza every day for dinner, which cost about $1.50 back at that time when I was a dancer struggling as an artist." So, while those times were certainly tough, it sounds like the singer wouldn't change them, as they're part of, what made her the global superstar that she is today. J.Lo said, "Those are the years that shape you. Right when you're struggling, you're trying to make it, you learn resilience, you learn discipline, you learn not to give up and to have faith." Lopez added she actually found things only got tougher the more successful she became. because, you know, there's more pressure, more scrutiny, and more expectation. Jennifer Lopez has been a victim of bullying. Even J.Lo isn't immune to trolls and bullies. You know, the superstar has been subject to an extreme amount of vicious comments over the years and hasn't made a secret about how it's negatively affected her before she learned how to ignore it. She confessed in a 2018 interview that in the early part of her career, it made her feel really bad about herself. While recalling some of the hateful comments she received, she said, "My first song went to #1, my album went to #1, and my first movie went to #1. And I was like, yeah, I'm killing it." And then everyone was like, she can't sing, she can't dance, she can't act, she's just a pretty face, or, you know, her butt's too big, or whatever they were saying about me. She admitted that she even started to believe the nasty comments herself. She said, "It really hurt me for a long time." You know, and Lopez, now ex-husband Ben Affleck, also spoke about the hate that he saw her receive during their relationship when they dated between 2002 and 2003. On a 2021 episode of the Hollywood Reporters Awards Chatter podcast, he actually said people were so mean about her and accused the tabloids in particular of just writing horrible things about her. He said, "Ugly, vicious stuff was written about her in ways that if you wrote it now, you would literally be fired for saying those things." Jennifer Lopez had a very close aunt pass away that absolutely devastated her. Jennifer Lopez has made it no secret of her, her close relationships with her family members, and was left devastated after her Aunt Rose passed in 2019. She shared a heartbreaking and touching tribute to her aunt, who she affectionately referred to as TT Rose, on Instagram in August of that year. She told fans how much she loved and admired her. Lopez shared her admiration for her long marriage to her uncle, who Rose was actually laid to rest next to. She wrote that the late couple's 3 children were her closest cousins growing up, and told fans that they had, such a close bond that she considered them to even be sisters. She said, "Today we lay to rest my TT Rose. We will lay her next to our beloved uncle, as was her wish, who were married their whole lives and had 3 beautiful daughters. I have so many emotions as I write this about how fierce, tough, and unapologetically Rose was. She taught me what it was to be a hard-working woman." She continued to say, "She, like the other women I was fortunate enough to be raised by, taught me to be independent and unafraid of life and what it would bring." Jennifer Lopez admitted to having a nervous breakdown a few years after her breakthrough success with Selena. Before she went on to appear in movies like Made in Manhattan and Monster-in-Law, Jennifer Lopez had what she described as a nervous breakdown on set in 2001. Lopez was shooting for the drama movie Enough and found herself suddenly hit with an unexpected wave of emotion. She went on to recall it in 2008, saying, "I was like, I don't want to move, I don't want to talk, I don't want to do anything. I had a nervous breakdown." Lopez said there was no telltale signs that it was coming, and shared the terrifying details of how, initially, she had no idea what was happening to her and had, to sit and do nothing in her trailer to calm down. She continued to say, "It's funny what tricks your mind plays on you. I just didn't want people to think I was falling apart, but when I look back on it now, it's so odd to me that those are the words I chose to say. I am not weak." She recalled how her bodyguard had to put her in the car, and she went straight to the doctor, who diagnosed her as being sleep deprived and overworked. The doctor tried to prescribe her pills, though she declined them, and Lopez was told not to go back to set until she had at least 2 days of sleep. She did, and fortunately the superstar was okay, but she also recalled a time she was sitting in her trailer again and suddenly completely froze, and she let her self-care needs completely go. She said, "I found myself physically paralyzed. I couldn't see clearly, and then the physical symptoms I was having started to scare me, and the fear compounded itself." Again, Jen was taken to the doctor, who basically told her she needed to make like a huge lifestyle change. No caffeine, lots of sleep, and lots of exercise. So, she made the changes, and although she had many anxiety attacks here and there, she's overcome the scary sagas and credits her lifestyle now to just calculated moderation. Jennifer Lopez struggled a lot with her parents' divorce. Jennifer Lopez's parents didn't have the traditional happy ending to their romance, as their union ended in divorce divorce 33 years after they tied the knot. The split took its toll on their daughter, and she struggled to return to their family home after a very difficult conversation about their split. For a 2013 interview with W, she went home for the first time since her parents called her and her siblings, and she went back to tell them about their divorce. She said, "I think that's why I was nervous about coming here today. It's like seeing someone from the past. You're afraid to run into them because you never know if it's going to be like a wow or if it's going to be very difficult. This is a combination of both." But despite the demise of their marriage, Jennifer doesn't have a bad relationship with her parents or bad memories of her childhood growing up in the Bronx. She actually credits her mom and dad, for her strong work ethic, noting she learned how to work hard by watching them. Now, I can't leave this conversation without talking about just how tragic her love story with Ben Affleck has been. We all got a glimmer of hope and a feeling of nostalgic redemption when Bennifer 2.0 was in full swing. Personally, I was very happy. I don't know about you guys, but I was living for it. Being a very lukewarm fan of J.Lo and a medium spicy fan of Ben's, I actually rooted for them back in the early 2000s, and when news of Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's divorce broke 2 years after they married and 2 decades after they first fell in love, entertainment reporters began discussing it like crazy. Affleck and Lopez first dated between 2002 and 2004, and even at their heights, both of them could sell more magazines than tickets. Now, both of them were beautiful and inoffensive and seemed to fear and feed on the attention they got. Like many of our most enduring stars, she is now perhaps most famous for being her, J.Lo. He is mainly famous now for looking sad and depressed all the time, but the dissolution of one of 2020's most shocking celebrity reunions was made official on January 6, bringing an end to a whirlwind saga that began back in 2021 when Ben and Jen reunited before getting officially married the following year. Now, despite how sad, fans might be about their undoing, a source close to J.Lo has said that she's in a really good place and just wants to close the door on this crazy chapter. The only silver lining is that she's keeping the $5 million wedding ring like all the others that she's kept. And listen, I don't want, their sad ending to discourage you from spinning the block though, because look at Nelly and Ashanti, they're happy and thriving. All jokes aside, I do hope J.Lo finds peace and love in this new year.
Now, Gilly Lyer had been a longtime assistant to J.Lo before she quit and went to work for Mariah Carey in 2013. It's been said that the main reason why she quit was because of J.Lo's boyfriend at the time, Casper Smart. Apparently, Casper was allowed to do whatever he wanted in the house, and this included him mistreating the staff members. That upset Gilly, a source told Radar Online. Casper always insisted that Jennifer's staff call him Mr. Smart, and even demanded that Gilly get him drinks. So it appears that J.Lo let her assistant get disrespected, which is just not okay at all, and it shows what kind of person she really is. Then there's the time when she got everyone to turn on her longtime makeup artist Scott Barnes. There had been a leak on J.Lo's team as they exposed to the press that J.Lo was planning on getting married to Mark Anthony. Now, J.Lo claimed that Scott was one of the employees who betrayed her, so she fired him and made everyone ignore him. The thing was, they never asked him about it though, they just fired him. Now, during an interview on the Jeff Probst show, he claimed that he didn't know anything about the wedding and wasn't the leak, but J.Lo's team still shunned him. Scott said, "Nobody would talk to me, it was like I had the plague." Then, when the truth came out that Scott did not leak the news or even know about the wedding ahead of time, he received a phone call from Jen, who Scott claimed said the following. It was like, "Hey, it was a big misunderstanding, we have a lot of stuff coming up and I really miss you, so let's just get back to work." Although Scott was very gracious about the whole thing, it appears that J.Lo did not apologize to him, and it's just crazy to me that he went back working for her and that no one put a stop to her behavior. Now, near the end of last year, Elon Musk was speaking on the Joe Rogan Experience when he began talking about J.Lo's criticism of the recently elected president and his remarks about Puerto Ricans. Elon then brought up J.Lo's personal history with Diddy as she dated him from 1999 to 2001. He said J.Lo was like his ex-girlfriend, and now all of a sudden she's warning people about this person, but how many people did she warn about Diddy? Oh, 0. Maybe we shouldn't trust her opinion. He added people in the music industry had to know that Diddy was doing these things. Where's that accountability? They had to know. Now, Ojani Noah, J.Lo's ex-husband, claimed that she was involved in Diddy's freak-offs that came up in his federal indictment. "I'm not on the list," Ojani wrote on Instagram. To those people and media outlets asking if I ever ever went or participated in that piece of Diddy's freak-off parties? No and no, never. But my ex-wife, Jennifer Lopez, aka J.Lo, did. Ask her. But in a shocking turn of events, one of her past assistants has come to her defense. Thea D'Souza, who worked with J.Lo on the 2002 film Made in Manhattan, posted a statement on Threads that said, "If you knew Jennifer Lopez, if you ever worked with her like I did, or if you were close with people who are like family to her like I am, you would know she did not have any idea about Diddy. She barely drinks, she's not a partier, she isn't a good time girl, she's a workaholic who uplifts women, and who was charmed by him for a brief time in her life." Now, Thea emphasized that J.Lo does not deserve to be conflated with Diddy's shocking and criminal misdeeds. So, Thea claims that J.Lo is innocent in all of this, but she's the only one who's spoken out. You see, J.Lo is refusing to speak about her ex Diddy. She walked out of an autograph signing at AFI Fest 2024 when someone in the crowd asked her if she had any comments about Diddy and the allegations. The US Mirror tabloid reported that the singer left immediately, despite fans' pleas that she stay. And don't expect her to say anything. In May, after video footage of Diddy hurting his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura was brought to light, J.Lo stayed silent. Now, many of Diddy's other exes have spoken out against him, but not J.Lo. Though tabloid sources claim that the Cassie footage disgusted her, J.Lo was silent on the subject and has stayed that way. Sources are saying that Jen is not going to address the accusations or take time to talk about them because it's not her story to tell. If an interviewer brought it up, she would cross that path as and when it happens, but she won't address it publicly and will not put herself in that conversation on purpose. Then there was the fact when J.Lo and Marc Anthony's twins needed nannies, J.Lo gave them a grueling schedule. Now, normally people who make a lot of money, like J.Lo for example, have numerous people who help them with everyday tasks, especially childcare, as it can be so difficult. But Jennifer expected one nanny not only to take care of both twins, but to work 16-hour days, 7 days a week, as an insider told the National Enquirer. Now, unsurprisingly, the first nanny she hired left after just a week of working for her. They hired a second nanny, who was wonderful with the twins, but she couldn't take working such long hours without a break, a source said. So then she quit after just a week as well. And yeah, I don't blame them for quitting. I mean, that schedule is just unreasonable. Then in 2022, a girl named Kyla posted a TikTok saying that her dad worked for a company that J.Lo would hire for drivers. But apparently he heard so many bad stories about the star that he never wanted to be her driver. It said that J.Lo does not allow her drivers to look or talk to her. She's also so strict that if the driver looks through the rearview mirror and makes eye contact with her, she will freak out. Not to mention that she has a crazy rule that her luggage cannot touch the ground. Now, it appears that this story is real though, because one of J.Lo's former drivers sued her. Hakab Menokian claims he started driving for J.Lo and Marc Anthony in 2005. He said that the three of them had such a great bond that they convinced him to shut down his company and work exclusively as J.Lo's personal head of security and transportation. He claimed that J.Lo agreed to pay him more than $200,000 per year, but things went downhill in 2011. This is when Hakab claims he was forced to spend time with J.Lo's manager, Benny Medina. He claims that Benny hated him and even found a way to convince J.Lo to demote him, taking away his security responsibilities and making him J.Lo's LA driver, and that was it. Now, he says that he was basically forced to resign and then sued J.Lo and Benny for unspecified damages. J.Lo then countersued him for extortion, but her suit was dismissed in December 2012. Now, the two eventually settled on undisclosed terms, but that honestly just sounds like a horrible situation. And finally, one of J.Lo's backup singers, Julia Wang, posted on TikTok how horrible it was to work with the star. She said she was so mean to her backup singers. If you were pretty or if you were Latina, like, game over, she hated you. Julia also said that J.Lo refused to talk or even look at any of the singers during their rehearsals, except for an occasional eye roll or scoff, which is just crazy. She acted like a bully. Can you imagine spending time with someone working in a closed setting every single day for months, and this person never even acknowledging you or acting like you exist? She asked. And honestly, no, I can't. That sounds like a horrible work environment. Now, she also shared that J.Lo changes the way she acts when there are men present, and Julia added that she only treats the women poorly because she views them as competition. It seems like if you have anything to do with J.Lo, it would just be horrible.
J.Lo was married to her first husband, Oani Noah, for only 11 months, but the short union caused years worth of court appearances and drama, and it's still going on actually, even after over 2 decades. About $21 million have been thrown around over the years between all the involved parties. Noah, it seems, has worked in 2 major careers during his lifetime: entertainment and the restaurant scene. He met and married J.Lo when he was a waiter. Leading up to the divorce, he had opened up his own restaurant, and then post-divorce he managed J.Lo's restaurant after she asked him if he wanted to do it. Honestly, when it comes to the restaurant aspect of it all, him and J.Lo seem like they are on pretty good terms until 2002, but we'll get into that. Originally, it seemed like he just resented her for issues when it came to Hollywood. Noah has accused J.Lo of using her connections to prevent certain TV shows and people from working with him, tarnishing his reputation by allegedly spreading rumors and taking him to court and things like that. It turns out that the show he might have been talking about being barred from was American Idol when J.Lo was judging. Allegedly, he was planning to make an appearance, but due to his history with the star, it was stopped by her. Both parties have made it clear that they went into this marriage to stay together and tried to work things out. J.Lo said she was raised to be family-oriented, and Noah said that as a pioneer and the first of her husbands, he was a good husband because he believes in marriage, supported J.Lo at the beginning by dealing with her insecurities and anxieties. Noah recently shared his perspective on the beginning of the end. It all fell apart thanks to distance, cheating, and Sean Diddy Combs. J.Lo dated Diddy right after her divorce from Noah. They met while J.Lo was married to Noah, but when being interviewed about their relationship, both stars were adamant that nothing happened until J.Lo was divorced. J.Lo actually said she didn't even like Diddy at first. Clearly, Noah believes differently. He's hinted that he believes J.Lo was cheating on him with Diddy. In addition to working together on a music video, Diddy was involved with J.Lo's first album. At the time, when J.Lo was working on this album, she, according to Noah, had to be in either Miami or New York, but he had to stay in LA to open his new restaurant. He claimed that having the distance between them, plus J.Lo meeting future partners, Diddy and Mark Anthony as well, during that time, resulted in problems the couple just couldn't fix. Despite what sounds like a lot of problems, the couple said they split on good terms, though Noah was heartbroken over it. Him and J.Lo actually found their way back into a partnership with each other, although the context was a lot different. She was opening her own restaurant and needed a manager. Noah has a lot of experience in the field, plus even though they weren't together anymore, she still viewed him as family and wanted to take care of him. She apparently promised him that she wouldn't fire him from the position unless there was a good reason. Noah held that position for 6 months before being fired for a reason he never figured out. He claims that he tried to contact J.Lo, but she wasn't answering him, so he escalated the situation and sued for damages. It did go in his favor. He got $125,000. In comparison to later court dates, the amount of money will seem pretty small, I promise. The $125,000 came with a condition though. The man must never publicly speak about his past relationship with J.Lo negatively. But something must have happened then that stung deep, because Noah broke this condition only a few years later when he tried to publish a book that was exclusively about his romance with Jenny from the Block. It was going to include all the cheating allegations per some court documents, based on other comments from Noah in future interviews where he said that he would deal with J.Lo's insecurities, he hated being on the red carpet despite her wanting him to appear with her, and how the couple would often fight and pretend everything was okay. It's likely that the book was not going to be a kind reflection of J.Lo, and this is where the cover-ups started. J.Lo obviously did not want a book by her ex in rotation, so she blocked the release. Taking her ex to court, her representation argued that Noah breached their previous contract, that he would keep the details of their relationship under wraps. This time, the courts ruled in favor of Lopez, and she was awarded $545,000 total. $200,000 of that was damages, the rest for arbitration costs and attorney's fees per CBS News. It was also reported that everything related to the book was to be given to Lopez. It was at this hearing that a permanent injunction was issued. Noah could no longer criticize, cast in a negative light, or otherwise disparage or cause disparagement to Lopez. Despite the injunction, Noah would go on to attempt to release a movie about the relationship that would allegedly include home videos of Lopez. She sued for $10 million, won, but then was sued by a producer producer for that film for $10 million. That was dismissed though. It's clear that J.Lo really is not interested in the public finding out the details of her first marriage. Awani Noah's potential film about his relationship with Lopez was allegedly supposed to be a mockumentary or like a parody style film. I guess they thought that they would get around the rule against Noah that he had to refrain from disparaging J.Lo publicly. There was also the rumor that it was going to include some of over 11 hours of unseen private home footage of the couple. That was in pretty clear violation of the rules, so it makes sense that J.Lo and her team stepped in. She sued for $10 million for, per today, breach of contract, violation of publicity rights, invasion of privacy, and more. So that affected Noah and producer Meyer for that film, but the other producer of the film, Vasquez, was not included, so they hit back with their own lawsuit. They were suing J.Lo now, also for $10 million. They had been working on a different J.Lo related project, this one called I Owe J.Lo, and I believe that this one was supposed to be about the time that J.Lo and Noah went to court over his book about their relationship, where he violated their privacy agreement and then was required to pay her over $500,000. So this one was technically not about J.Lo and Noah's relationship in the past, but kind of like an extension of it. It was very confusing. Point is, because J.Lo had just very publicly sued and stopped her ex over not just his book, but also a potential movie, Vasquez's movie was just scrapped. In their words, their film became radioactive. Why would a studio risk financing something if there's a very real possibility that it will get shut down before making it in the air? The whole situation almost worked out in the producer's favor, but the whole case was based on a cease and desist letter that was ultimately ruled to be privileged legal communication that can't be used in court. With no case, it was dismissed, and J.Lo technically won. Despite how it all ended, from interviews Noah has done in the past, it seems like the couple was incredibly in love at first and had a sweet wedding ceremony. J.Lo has echoed this, however, she did look back on the marriage a few years ago, and her comments were interesting. She said that she doesn't really count her marriage to Noah since it was so short, and at that point in her life, she thought that if she married someone, that would mean there would always be someone there for her, something she now realizes is a bad reason to get married. In a resurfaced interview from around 1999-ish, J.Lo mentioned that towards the end of her marriage, there were a lot of problems, something Noah inadvertently agreed with when he commented on the fact that Ben Affleck has a resting grumpy face when he's out with J.Lo. Noah claimed that he understood Affleck as him and J.Lo used to have a lot of arguments, but have to pretend everything was okay for the cameras only minutes later. J.Lo hinted at what some of the issues between the couple might have been in an interview after their divorce, saying that she believed that he was insecure when it came to finances and her being richer than he was, and she likely always would be. She also once suggested that he had wanted a relationship where J.Lo would stay home while he goes out and makes the money, but alas, she became a millionaire and paid for their home. As for J.Lo's current divorce from Ben Affleck, it's looking like that story is going very, very differently. Reports have said that the couple split has been going pretty well. They've agreed to part with what they each made during the marriage and what they had before. The only sticky parts are the home that they bought together, but with a team of experts working with them, that will likely be smoothed over in no time.
Jennifer Lopez just can't seem to keep a man, a relationship, or a marriage. It seems like every 3 years we're saying another one bites the dust for J.Lo. She's been married like 4 times and none have lasted, but why? It's not surprising that she's been in several high-profile relationships over the years. She's been very public with each and every one of them, so we get to see, the rise and fall. And while it's not uncommon for celebrities to experience relationship challenges, J.Lo's personal life, and in particular her love life, has always been subject to media scrutiny and speculation. Now, it's alarming to say the least that she hasn't been able to make any marriage work, and there could be various reasons as to why, they may not have lasted. Many people blame the intense media attention, saying that her relationships are always under a microscope, which obviously puts a lot of pressure on her and her partner. Now, some people have put blame on J.Lo's, very busy schedule, saying she's always go, 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 go between acting, singing, dancing, and any other business ventures that she's in. It seems like she's always away and always booked and busy, which, great if you don't have a marriage to maintain, but not so great if your partner is waiting for you constantly just to even go to dinner. Of course, many people have, just said that she's too selfish, too self-absorbed, and thinks that, the world revolves around her. But one one person has actually flipped the script a little bit and said that she simply has a talent for picking the wrong men, saying that she needs a man who is going to be supportive and respectful of her time and commitments. Either way, it seems as though she struggles in this area of her life, and I'm actually curious to see what 2025 holds for her. If J.Lo is going to do one thing, it will be telling us all for decades now how she's from the Bronx. But the question that's, popped up over and over and over again over the years is how authentic is she when she discusses this and makes claims that just don't seem to add up. J.Lo's three-part self-funded album and documentary projects, This Is Me Now, the album, the movie, and The Greatest Love Story Never Told, the documentary, had some moments that went absolutely viral for the wrong reasons, of course. Now, in one clip while working out, she sees her messy hair in the mirror and very earnestly kind of references her days as Jenny on the block. She says, "I like taking my hair out like this. It reminds me when I was 16, in the Bronx, running up and down the block, crazy little girl, who used to just be so wild with no limits, all dreams." The primary complaint here is that Lopez grew up in a very nice part of the Bronx, and even still, she has lived in Hollywood for the last 3 decades and is worth $400 million. So she should stop acting like she's repping the Bronx from what is probably her private gym. Now, the funnier part about all of this is that this one particular scene apparently got rehearsed 12 times. And so it wasn't natural and just off the top of her head she wanted it to be portrayed. One person on TikTok claimed she and Lopez had gone to the same Catholic high school and accused Lopez of actually, using the Bronx to look human. She said, "We both attended an all-girls high school in an Irish and Italian neighborhood, so you weren't running up and down the block." Another person said, "Girl, you haven't been to the Bronx since 1993. Please stop." With another person adding, "She should just build a community center in the Bronx, invest in cleaning it up, putting in a nice park. She could even put a statue of herself for her ego and start, mentoring kids growing up in the Bronx." Someone even found an old photo of J.Lo with her hair from high school, and it wasn't giving crazy and running up and down no block. It was giving kept and clean private school energy. It was just another moment where J.Lo tried way too hard to be relatable, but it backfired and made her look even worse. J.Lo is allegedly one of the rudest celebrities to have any type of encounter with, and despite her claims of having a very humble beginning, apparently that did not instill a sense of humility in her. For years now, many servers and staff have reported, that J.Lo is tough to work for. In 2022, amid a TikTok storm of fans sharing negative encounters with Lopez, one woman took to the app to claim that the Jenny from the Block singer is rude to her drivers. Kayla claimed her father once worked for a company that Lopez often hired to provide drivers and said her dad would refuse to drive J.Lo after hearing stories about her poor temperament. Kayla alleged that J.Lo does not allow the drivers to look or to talk to her, and that even if the driver looks through the rear view mirror, they could be subjected to a scolding from the diva. Lastly, she also allegedly has a very specific rule: they cannot let her luggage touch the ground. So even if it's heavy, they must carry it. Even if it's got wheels, they must lift it. I just don't understand, but okay. Several TikTok users have also accused Lopez of not tipping her wait staff, but 2 stories in particular take the cake, or in this case, I guess the tip. Now, in one now deleted TikTok, a woman who alleges that she served the star claimed Lopez and her ex-husband, Ben Affleck, are notorious for not tipping servers. She said Ben Affleck had, one of the worst reputations in the casino industry, saying, "We hate him. He's cheap and rude to other players and to staff." The woman claimed Lopez is known for being stingy, saying Lopez tells Affleck not to tip, so he doesn't tip anymore because apparently she has instructed him not to. Another woman on TikTok, whose name is Penny, corroborated the notion of her, being anti-tipping. She claimed that a woman she previously employed at a tavern she managed in Las Vegas once shared a story with her about an experience she had while working at a casino. She claimed she spent one night serving Affleck as, he was at the poker table. She wasn't serving anybody else. And so Ben shockingly gave her an extremely gracious tip of $10,000. However, once J.Lo caught wind of this big tip, she allegedly snatched back the money. Apparently Affleck was so mortified by this that he actually sent a bouquet of flowers and a $25,000 tip the next day. So it would seem as though Ben was under her her spell, and that's why he got, this bad rep for not tipping. I mean, I hope now that he's divorced and released from the shackles that she put on him that he now tips, but who knows? I guess time will tell, right? Now, these bad encounters don't stop there though. Reportedly, a flight attendant told Star magazine that Lopez is an extreme diva and doesn't speak directly to people outside of her inner circle. So the United Airlines worker allegedly said to Lopez, "What can I get you to drink?" But Jennifer refused to even acknowledge. Like, she turned her head away and told her personal assistant, "Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke." The flight attendant said that she wouldn't even look at him and that he was sad because, she seems so sweet in all of her movies. Another woman on TikTok, Julia Wang, shared her story of meeting one of J.Lo's backup singers. Wang alleges the woman was part of like a Vegas concert that J.Lo was performing for. She said she was so mean to her backup singers and that if you were pretty or if you were a Latina, like game over. She hated you like automatically. Wang further claimed that J.Lo refused to talk or even look at any of them during their many hours of rehearsal time, except for like an occasional eye roll or like a huff and puff. Wang continued to say, she just acted like a bully. Can you imagine spending time with someone working in a closed setting every single day for months and this person never even acknowledges you or acts like you exist? She shared that J.Lo's demeanor does like a complete 180 when a man walks into the room. She only treats the woman poorly because she views them as competition. But the second a man enters, she's like all smiles, very sweet, very soft. And also, I know you may know about this incident, but it's worth revisiting quickly because of how horrible it is. Jennifer Lopez allegedly once got a hotel cleaner fired. Prey Dodage happened to be cleaning Lopez's hotel room in Germany during her 2012 world tour. As a big fan of Lopez, Dodage, tried to ask the star for an autograph, only to have two of her assistants basically stop her soon after Prey was out of a job. She said in an interview, a day later, the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said that Miss Lopez had complained. I was fired right there on the phone because of an autograph. J.Lo received so much backlash for this one because she literally played the role of a hotel maid in her movie Made in Manhattan. And during the release of that film, all of her press tours for it, she talked about the importance of being nice to everyone and how she could relate to her character in many ways in hopes that people respect anyone who finds themselves in that profession. Now, it's so ironic that years later she would not practice what she preaches and would end up getting this lady fired for like an autograph request. Like, that's insane to me. Nevertheless, all of these stories are like a dime a dozen. There's like countless allegations against J.Lo and her very problematic behaviors. People are getting so sick of her kind of like diva-isms, and she may need to eat a big slice of like humble pie soon if she wants to gain some momentum back.
Now, starting off, we have to talk about the Diddy photos. Now, if you didn't know, J.Lo and Diddy dated from 1999 to 2001. But now, Diddy's been arrested for crimes he committed during those years and after, but the fact that J.Lo was spotted at parties where the crimes took place is not a good look. Diddy was known for throwing his infamous white parties where everyone would show up dressed in white. Now, J.Lo was spotted at many of these events, but what's now come to light is that Diddy and others would commit horrible crimes here, including mistreating and taking advantage of unsuspecting victims. Now, the fact that J.Lo was there when these events took place is unsettling, and it has people questioning whether or not she was involved in these crimes, or at the very least, knew about them. Then recently, leaked photos of the star getting into a fight with Diddy at an MTV VMAs after party in the year 2000 were released. Now, this is important because an unnamed woman, only going by Jane Doe, filed a lawsuit against Diddy accusing him, Jay-Z, and an unnamed female celebrity of mistreating and taking advantage of her. Now, the fact that these photos are from the same night makes people think that J.Lo knew what was going on and got angry with him, but did nothing to prevent it or report it. Now, for the past couple of months, J.Lo has been distancing herself from Diddy and has refused to answer any questions regarding him. So, I think it's safe to say that she does not want any of these photos of the pair to get out. Now, at the 2012 Oscars, there was a lot of speculation about what was popping out of J.Lo's dress. Now, most people assumed it was her nipple, and someone online created a Twitter account called J.Lo's Nipple. Now, the first tweet was, "Did you see me?" While there was much speculation about the photo and what was revealed, Jennifer's stylist Mariel Hain gave Entertainment Weekly a statement addressing the alleged slippage. The The Oscar dress was custom made for Jennifer by designer Zaher Murad. The dress fit perfectly to her every inch. There were cups built in, and there's no chance that there was any, how do you say, slips. While the dress did give the illusion of sheerness, jokes on everyone who wishes they saw something. If you thought that dress was hot, wait until you see what's next. Now, Jen never spoke out about this, but I think it's safe to say that she was embarrassed that people thought that they saw more than they really did. In the year 2016, Jennifer was performing for a live audience in Las Vegas when she suffered a wardrobe malfunction towards the end of her show. The singer was wearing a well-fitting shimmery bodysuit, and when she and her other dancers went to thank the crowd for coming out and take their final bows, J.Lo had a mishap with her bodysuit. As she went and linked arms with the backup dancers, unfortunately for her, when she bent down, the stitch around her hips burst open, showing a bit of skin underneath. Now thankfully it happened at the end of her show, but this isn't the first time something like this has happened. In July 2022, while Jennifer was performing, her bodysuit ripped again, forming a small visible hole on her backside during one of her songs, but she didn't miss a beat, continuing to sing and dance like the professional she is. While some might have been thrown off by such an occurrence or changed the choreography to try to cover it up, she just kept on going. Now she actually posted a video of it laughing at herself on her TikTok page. Jennifer combined the video with the viral sound "Oh No" by Creepa, and it definitely was an oh no moment indeed. But J.Lo's fans are diehards, and they rush to hype her up in the comments. "We love a funny queen who can take any situation," said one. "She's a true professional, the show must go on," another said. Hey, when you've been in the industry as long as Jennifer, you get used to experiencing the unexpected and keep pushing through. But it seems like this does happen often. I think she needs to get a better seamstress because this just seems to be like a pattern for her, and I'm sure she's not super comfortable with it happening so often. In 2021, Jennifer attended the Dolce & Gabbana fashion show at St. Mark's Square in Venice. Now she looked great in her outfit showing it off, but she also showed us something else: price tag. Now Jennifer may come armed by assistants, but it looks like whoever was in charge of the wardrobe department missed a detail. Jennifer wound up with the paparazzi catching the price tag still attached to her outfit. Now the label was only visible when the cape was blown up from the wind, which made it pretty noticeable in the photos of her outside. Now the singer's bodyguard held her hand while she walked alongside her glam team, who didn't seem to notice the tag hanging from her, which is just crazy because she has such a big team. Now Jennifer didn't seem to notice it either though, and it begs the question, were they planning on returning it? I mean, a similar incident happened to Meghan Markle years back, and I just want to know why people on their team aren't being more attentive to detail. Then there was a time she had an incident on live TV that I don't think she'll be able to live down. Wetten Das was being filmed in Spain when Jennifer suffered the embarrassment in front of a stadium audience, as well as other celebrities present on the show. Not to mention, the show was live. Now she first performed without having any incidents, wearing a black mini dress and stilettos, but her second appearance on the show was a sit-down interview outside in a bullfighting arena. Now she looked amazing in a long belted dress with a plunging neckline and a matching head wrap, and in true J.Lo style, she had a grand entrance in a horse-drawn carriage before taking her seat. But maybe this was a mistake. Why? Well, as J.Lo was being helped to her seat by the show's host, the front of her dress opened a little bit too much and her entire breast fell out of her dress. Now a crowd of thousands were there to witness the infamous wardrobe malfunction. Within the hour, the picture was on the cover of the world's #1 worldwide tabloid and on the internet. It was super embarrassing and not something she wants to remember. And finally, there was the incident when she was on the Ellen DeGeneres show. In 2018, she made an appearance with her World of Dance co-stars Jenna Dewan, Neo, and Derek Huff. When getting off the couch to pull off a fast dance step though, mimicking her co-star Derek, she accidentally flashed her spandex as the front slit of her blue dress dress opened wide. She realized what had happened, yelled, "Oh no, my spandex," and looked a bit embarrassed. She then pulled her dress down and continued on dancing though. Now after Derek demonstrated his move, J.Lo added, "If I didn't have my spandex showing, I could have done it a little bit better." Then in 2019 though, she had another spandex incident. Jennifer was all smiles as she stepped out with her then fiance Alex Rodriguez, seemingly unaware that her spandex were able to be seen underneath her dress, which featured a thigh-high slit. Now the couple were out to attend the graduation of her two twins, Max and Emmy, but the shapewear was clearly evident underneath her revealing dress. J.Lo was so proud of her two kids on their graduation day though that she couldn't help but take to Instagram with a celebratory post. Graduation day, she wrote on her IG stories alongside a post of both her children and Alex's daughter Ella, "We are so proud of you, beautiful souls." Now it seems like she either didn't know about the malfunction or she simply just didn't care.